Hello and welcome to Nelson All Over Cards. My name is Nelson and today we're doing another deck factory where we're going to take a deep dive look at a specific card, usually one that doesn't get a ton of love, then build a deck around it. Today we're going to be focusing on Adrenaline Rush. So as we're going through and talking about Adrenaline Rush, be thinking kind of about a deck that you want to build with this card and then share that deck either in the comments of this video or if you hop onto the Discord server, which that link is in the video description, we have an entire channel where we're going to be talking about Adrenaline Rush, and you can share it there for some sweet, sweet imaginary internet points. So that's kind of fun. But Adrenaline Rush is a one-cost basic upgrade that came to us in the Quicksilver Hero Pack. It gives the ability on it is you can discard this card and give your hero +1 attack until the end of the phase. The face value of this card is not super great. Like if we had an event that cost 1 and it said deal 1 damage, we probably would never look at it again. It's just not super great. From an efficiency standpoint, we kind of want 2 damage per effective resource we have spent. So this 1-cost card being 2 effective resource, we kind of want to get 4 damage out of it, which means that we want to either probably ready multiple times, or there are a couple other cards that deal with our attack stat that we can kind of look at, like Quick Strike. We did that deck factory a while ago, and so that would increase the attack. So you don't have to basic attack in order to get the efficiency out of this card, but it's probably the most straightforward way to do so. So if we can use Adrenaline Rush, gives us +1 attack. If we can get 3 extra activations, that's kind of around what we're looking for in terms of efficiency. Kind of, because that's typically an event efficiency. I kind of want a little bit more out of my upgrades because they are going to be a little bit longer term payoff. But there are a couple of things that make Adrenaline Rush. I don't necessarily need more than the efficiency curve when I'm playing this card. But if we consider we want 4 damage for 2 effective costs, let's kind of use that as our baseline when we're discussing the card. So we want a lot of readies or ways to interact with our attack stat. That's going to give us the most bang for our buck. The cool things that we can do with this though, and the reason why I think it's kind of fun and a little different, is it's an upgrade. You don't have to draw it at the right time. You can draw it, you can play it. It has no immediate impact on the game, which in some scenarios can be a big detriment. I do think that this is not the most powerful card, but it is a fun card, and that's why we're talking about it. But you can draw it and you put it on the table. It doesn't do anything until you are ready to trigger it. And so in that sense, you kind of have this on-call ability where you can choose when you want to trigger it, which is kind of the important part. The other kind of cool thing about this is you can have 3 copies. It is not limited to 1 per player. And so if you want to go for that final turn, that 1 turn kill, if you have 3 Adrenaline Rushes, you can use every single one of them, give your hero +3 attack. So now, even though we're probably not hitting the efficiency, if we're looking for like that 1 turn kill, especially with like Venom Goblin or like Magneto or any of these villains that are going to have nasty, nasty secondary villain stages, whether that be stage 2 or stage 3, and we just kind of want to burst through them, Adrenaline Rush is a really good card in order for us to set up and hit the villain very, very hard in a single turn. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. If I want to use Adrenaline Rush, typically what I'm doing is putting them on the table and then waiting until I can get the full utilization, or waiting until if I use this Adrenaline Rush right now, I'm going to be able to take out the villain and not have to deal with all the negative consequences of having the villain. There are a lot of really cool heroes that can utilize Adrenaline Rush. I'm thinking of heroes that get a lot of readies very much like this. So if we have a hero like Quicksilver, which is the pack it came in, it makes a lot of sense to include this in a Quicksilver deck because Quicksilver gets to ready after he uses a basic activation. He gets to ready with always be running. He has a couple of different ways to ready, in which case we can get the efficiency that we're typically looking for out of Adrenaline Rush. We have other characters that can ready. I'm thinking Nova on an Unleash the Nova Force turn. This is a really fun combo. If you have not tried this, try it because you can bump his attack up to 3. And if this mainly probably multiplayer, but if we're looking at like a ton of minions on the table, now we have a basic attack of 3. On an Unleash turn, we can take out a minion, stand up, get our money back, get our card draw, and just keep going. And with an attack of 3 versus an attack of 1, That's a big, big difference. You have people like Captain America, right? So Captain America and Quicksilver to some extent, but Captain can only ready one time with his I Can Do This All Day ability, but both Cap and Quicksilver have access to Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which are another way to ready. So if you trigger 3 of these adrenaline rushes, now you can exhaust an Avenger ally and then ready your hero, which now has +3 attack. So we're looking for ways to ready. There's a lot of heroes out there. Let me know who you want to run this with. But I settled on one hero in particular that I wanted to build a deck for. I talked myself out of building it for Quicksilver because I love Quicksilver and I wanted to try someone new. And the hero that we're going to be taking a look and we're going to be building a deck for this week is X-23. So let's hop over to I was going to say to the table. That's typically how I do it, but it's not how we're doing it this week because I am remote. So let's hop over to the deck display and we'll talk about the X-23 deck. So let's talk about the X-23 deck that is all built around Adrenaline Rush. X-23 can ready many times. The main way that she does that is her living weapon response on her hero side. Says after X-23, I guess I have a pointer. After X-23 takes any amount of damage, we can ready her. And there's a couple ways that we can do that in her kit. We'll talk about that. But that is limit once per phase. We're gonna have a couple other ways to ready her. But if we have just her 1 attack, if we use her 3 adrenaline rushes, and that's kind of the idea of the deck, is we're gonna go for a turn where we dish out every single point of damage that we want. I can see this deck probably going to not doing any damage to the villain to taking out both stages of the villain in one turn. That's kind of the goal. And so if I do get to play this deck and I'm traveling a little bit, I hope to get a gameplay. That's going to be the goal. Not deal any damage to the villain until we're ready and take him out in one turn. But that gets her up to 4 attack. We can also increase her attack with her claws, which is a way that she can deal herself damage in the hero phase. So X-23's claws, we exhaust them, we take 2 damage, she gets +2 attack until the end of the phase. This also readies her. In a solo game, what I like to do is usually, maybe not with this deck, but I usually like to thwart, and then I can use her claws, stand up, and then get an attack of 3, which is a really big impact in a solo game. If we are going for that 1-turn kill, we can take this damage. We have another way to deal damage. I'll show you that here in a second that can ready us during the player phase. But we can take the damage with X-23's claws. We are then at a 3 attack. Adrenaline Rush pumps us up to a 6 attack. And then we're also going to be running a Symbiote Suit that gives us that 7th attack. So 7 attack every single time we swing is pretty fun. The Symbiote Suit also gives us a +10 hit points. We are using our hit points for a resource with X-23, and so having that additional hit points is really good. And then also the higher hand size, we're gonna like that. So those are some ways that we're gonna increase our attack. We're also going to bring along specialized training for the combat specialist upgrade. So when we thwart down specialized training, we get to get a specialization upgrade, which is gonna be combat specialist. And with this, we get a +1 attack, taking us up to 8, which is 8, which is pretty cool. And also when we attack, we can exhaust the card to draw, or exhaust combat specialist to draw a card. So that's some card draw, some card efficiency, but it also gets us that +1 attack, which is pretty cool. Now, the other ways that we're going to be ready is pretty much in X-23's kit, and that's with Honey Badger. So Honey Badger is her signature ally. She has a 2-cost 1/1/2, and she has a hero response. After Honey Badger takes any amount of damage, ready X-23. That would be on her consequential. So if you can take that consequential damage, X-23 gets to ready. So we have Honey Badger out. X-23 is going to swing once we're fully set up for 1, 4, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 attack. X-23 is going to swing for 8. Honey Badger is going to attack for 1, or there's ways that you can augment Honey Badger's stats with this deck as well. And then that's going to ready X-23 and swing for 8 more. We then also are going to be running command teams. Command teams can ready Honey Badger so that she can attack again. Now, the second time she attacks, if we have not modified her health, we don't get the response for the ready, so we're going to talk about how we're going to modify that health here in a second. The first one being with Danger Room Training. Since Honey Badger is a X-Men character, we can attach Danger Room Training, which is going to give +1 attack, +1 thwart, and +1 hit points. And that means that Honey Badger can then activate twice, either using like a command team or game time, and get X23 to ready again. And so right here, kind of on the screen, you can already see that we're probably getting enough efficiency out of these adrenaline rushes to make it worth it in the deck. So we've got Danger Room Training. We're running 2 for consistency. We'll talk about our other allies here in a second, but we're going to drop that on Honey Badger, and then game time, we can choose a ally with a training upgrade attached. We can ready that ally, heal a damage from it, which means that we can then attack again, readying X23. So there's a lot of little symbiotic readying going on in this deck, but we do want to keep Honey Badger around for longer, so we're going to do that by augmenting her health with Reinforced Suit. We attach to an ally, +2 hit points. Honey Badger now has a 5 health, and we feel a lot better about that. We're also going to run a team training, which I forgot to put the pack that it came in, but I am 90% sure team training came in either Rise of Red Skull, but I'm pretty sure it was the core set. If it's not, sorry. But this is going to get Honey Badger up to 6 health, as well as some of our other allies to a higher health threshold. And that's going to give us the security that we can have Honey Badger around, activate her enough with the command teams, the game times to get multiple activations out of Honey Badger, which then will get multiple activations out of X23. And we can then heal them with both Regenerative Longevity, which heals 4 damage from our identity or Honey Badger. We get to split that however we would like. And then Rally the Troops, which is a player's side scheme that heals 2 damage from each ally when it is defeated. We have a couple of ways that we can thwart this down. I think when we are running into a one-turn kill type situation, we probably want to be using Honey Badger and X23 for damage. Now, Rally the Troops, if we have another X-Men out or another ally out, we can then use them to thwart this down. Or the main way I see this actually being played is Honey Badger kind of being on the table, managing threat, while X23 kind of manages threat. And if we're going for the solo victory, like the achievement of only dealing damage in 1 turn with the villain, we can manage, and then Rally the Troops can heal Honey Badger so that we can have that 1-turn kill. So those are how we're going to keep Honey Badger alive. Next up, let's talk about the other allies that we're going to run. We're going to run Angel and Colossus. Now, if we are in Alter Ego form when we play this, then Angel and Colossus cost 2 and 3 instead of 3 and 4 respectively. And so that is nice, but these are just also other targets for Danger Room. Probably Colossus being the main target for that Danger Room, along with the Reinforced Suit, because his 3 attack takes 2 consequential. He does have toughness, but if we can ready and Danger Room pumping that up to a 4, we have a lot of health, and so that's kind of the idea of the second copy. Or consistency. Our obligation can get rid of Honey Badger, which is a real feel bad situation, but if that does happen, then we have other copies of Reinforced Suit and Danger Room in there so that we can get them back on the Honey Badger fairly quickly. We got 2, or actually a couple more allies. The next 2, we're going to talk about Nick Fury and Professor X. These are going to be our chump blockers. X can take out Rally the Troops if we line that up correctly. Most of the cards in this deck that we're adding are upgrade supports or allies. We're adding 3 copies of Game Time, which are the only 2 cards that will remain in our deck. And so we can actually get pretty consistent on what cards we draw when. So we can draw Professor X in the time that it takes to thwart down Rally the Troops if we wanted to. Nick Fury is in there for card draw consistency and also just blocks. We do want to be blocking with X23 fairly regularly. Ugh, that was a hard word to say apparently. We do want to be blocking with X23 with her 2 defense, and usually a couple of that damage is going to seep by, and that's going to get her to ready because her living weapon is a once per phase response. We can use X23 to block, basically negate 2 damage coming in, then we get to ready. With pain tolerance, symbiote suit, we're probably going to be fine with health. The last ally that we're putting in here is Pixie from the Storm Hero pack. Mainly, she's a way to get Honey Badger back. We also have the Sisterhood support, which can get Pixie back, or can get Honey Badger back. But if we do knock out Honey Badger, either via a surprise activation that we cannot defend and we have to chump with Honey Badger, or if we are looking at a at something where we get rid of Honey Badger via our obligation, Pixie is another way to recur Honey Badger. And so we're just trying to build that consistency and make sure that we get Honey Badger back in. Or Pixie, on the other hand, can also just grab Professor X, which is going to help us with threat and give us safe trips down to Alter Ego. So a couple of different ways that we can play Pixie. Main reason is if we lose Honey Badger, but also recur X, Colossus, or Angel. We are going to, I teased it a little bit earlier, and I forgot how late I put it into the deck build, but we got Clarity of Purpose, which came in, oh no, I should know this. I thought I put it in there, wherever Clarity of Purpose came from. May have been Spider. I think it was Spider. Anyways, Clarity of Purpose is the way that we can ready X-23 during the hero phase by taking damage. So in that one turn kill where we want to get the +2 damage out of X-23's claws, that first activation, we can take the damage, get +2 attack, and we still have this response available to us, which we can trigger with Clarity of Purpose. Because Clarity of Purpose has us deal 1 damage to the the hero, the attached character, and that can generate a wild resource. We also have Grim Resolve, which is the X-23 version of this, and at this point we can be taking a lot of damage, but we're going to be playing a lot of cards which are going to heal back up via the Pain Tolerance, and this is just going to put a lot of cheap resource generators on the table, and there you go. So Clarity of Purpose, Pain Tolerance are the other kind of, or not Pain Tolerance, I'm sorry, Grim Resolve are the other kind of ways that we can ready not using X-23's claws in the player phase by taking damage. We're going to round it out with the 3 doubles, Strength, Energy, Genius, and that is the X-23 deck. Now, I don't have a name for it yet, and so if you have an idea of what you think that this should be called, let me know, because I like hearing y'all, and I think you all are more creative than I am. So if you have a name picked out, let me know down in the video comments, and we'll go back up to the big face Nelson, and we'll say bye. So thank you all so very much for hanging out. I appreciate y'all. If you have a deck, please share it. I really enjoy looking at those and digging into them and seeing the creativity that you all have. It's so much fun to look at what you can create. So either share those in the video comments, or hit that description, or hit the link in the description for the Discord, and you can hop in there and talk with a ton of like-minded people about that. Thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate y'all. I'll see you next time. Peace.